I'm going to be talking about my journey of how I went from a life filled with crime, robberies, drugs and violence to eventually becoming a legitimate professional businessman who was going on to build his own direct marketing company and coaching and mentoring other people to becoming profitable salesmen themselves. I'm going to be telling my whole story from how I got involved in the life of crime to begin with, how deep it ended up becoming, and how I eventually got myself out of it to eventually become the person that I am at today. The reoccurring theme of the video is going to be how decisions at key moments in my life completely changed the direction of my life, both in a negative and the positive. So listen, grab some snacks, light up your zoo. Listen, I don't judge. Just buckle up, car. It's gonna be a bumpy ride.
Take her away, Ian.
Yeah, take it away, Ernie. It's going to be a bumpy ride.
What did you say your name was again?
Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome to the journey to self-conquest, where every single day we're going on a journey to conquering ourselves, becoming the master of our own minds, and defeating that weak version of ourselves so that we can become the true beast that we was always meant to be, you know? So today we got a little story time. I'm gonna start this story from the only place that I think makes the most sense, and that's the beginning, you know, how I got involved in the first place. And start with that, I'll take it back all the way to the start, you know. I'm the youngest of 6 children. My family moved to the UK in 2000. That's when I was a little baby. I was born in 2000. And we moved around a lot. You know, we used to live in Holland back in the day. Then we ended up moving to Syria. I ended up being born in Syria. I know, very, very random. The country was very, very different back in the day, you know, and I ended up being born there. Only stayed there for a couple of months. Then we moved almost basically straight away to the UK. So UK is pretty much all I know. I grew up in a city called Leicester in the East Midlands, where we're pretty much most well known for our football team that won the Premier League back in 2015 on some historic shit. Apart from that, just a lot of fuckery, drugs and violence. Definitely not as bad as places like Birmingham and London when it comes to violence, but drugs is a big problem in Leicester. Being the youngest of 6 children, for anybody else that's the youngest of a big family, you can probably kind of relate, but it kind of almost feels like you're being molded into like what your parents think is the perfect child, you know. They've gone through a whole bunch of children, a whole bunch of mistakes and experience that they would have had. So with the youngest, they're kind of like trying to avoid all the mistakes that they made before, right? So my mom was very protective of me. She tried to shield me from a lot of stuff, you know, especially growing up in the UK. I was the only kid that was fully born in the UK, you know, so all my other siblings, they were already kind of grown. So, you know, for my parents, it was a different experience, you know, a whole lot of stuff that my mum wouldn't have been accustomed to living in the UK. It was a whole new set of challenges, right? And my mum and dad ended up splitting when I was like 6 years old. At the time, I never really understood why, to be honest. But to be honest, I only found out why when I was pretty much recently, when I was grown, you know. Back then, I didn't really know why. But, you know, you kind of just move on, you know. After it just feels like normal. You don't really, as a kid, you just kind of move on with it, you know. Probably just up until you go to school and you see like the other kids with their dads and shit, kicking ball and stuff like that in the park, and you start to feel like, raw, like, I wonder what it feels like after a little bit, like, do you know what I mean? But like, you kind of just, from young, I just kind of kind of just started thugging shit out. Like you kind of just roll with the punches a little bit, you know. It is what it is. We move along. But you know, we grew up humble, you know. Like my mom, she was a grafter, and she been through a lot. She's been through a lot. Like she fled war-torn Somalia, been all around the world trying to fucking find a place for us to have a good life, you know. Trust me, she always made sure that we was good, always made sure that we had like food on our plate, no matter what it was, whether it was a struggle meal or not. Like we always had like a food on our plate. So I can't complain, you know. People had it a lot worse, you know. But at the end of the day, we grew up humble, and it was normal to us. It was what it was. But fast forward to like school, my mom actually ended up sending me to Islamic school, which I hated at the time, you know. Like I said, my mom, very protective. She tried to shield me from all the bullshit, right? But, you know, you can only protect your kids for so long. You might try to shield them from the shit that's right outside the door, but that's not stopping the shit that's right outside the door, you know, because as soon as you step out, the shit is still there. Do you get what I mean? The only difference is I'm not equipped to handle the shit now. At the time I hated it, because I wanted to go to school where all my friends was going, you know. I just wanted to just chill out, just do normal kid shit, you know. But I ended up going to the school where I didn't really like, you know. It ended up just kind of thugging it out. Like I said, just rolling with the punches and shit. I had a lot of like anger issues and shit when I was a kid. Like, I was just pissed. Like I was just angry a lot, used to fight a lot, shit like that. But after a while, I think I ended up calming down a little bit. I kind of just got used to just dealing with shit and just bottling shit and just rolling through whatever life comes with, kind of things, you know what I mean? But I ended up finishing school. I actually ended up memorizing the Quran, which is one of my biggest achievements looking back on it now. Even though I've forgotten pretty much all of it now. One of my goals is to relearn it though. That is definitely one of my goals. I remember when that happened, it was a big achievement, you know. But as soon as I finished school though, I was like, yo, I'm out here. You know, like when I finished school, I didn't know what I wanted to do. Like, I didn't know what I wanted to do. I was kind of I knew I wanted freedom. I just wanted to be free. Just wanted to do my thing. Started applying for colleges and shit. Like for people that are not in the UK, the way our school system works is like we go to school up until like the age of 16, and once you finish school at 16, that's like the mandatory school. Then after that, you can go to what we call community college from 16 to 18, which is kind of preparing you for university, if that's what you want to do, you know. So you do 2 years of community college and then you go into university, which is like the normal method for how people do shit, you know. I ended up just picking any course. I think I picked a sports science course. Like I said, I didn't know what I wanted to do, but I thought it'd be pretty cool to just do. I like sports, you know, maybe going to like some physio shit. I just said whatever, you know. I could play football as well. So I ended up just picking sports science and going to college. That year of college though, that year would change my life forever. Cause that was the year that the fuckery all started. So after school, I started linking up with my cousin who was 2 years older than me, a little bit more, which we used to be like this back in the day. Like basically like my brother, you know, like we was like close in age. I only have one brother and he's 12 years older than me, right? So even though we were super close, we didn't grow up together, so we couldn't really relate to each other like that in the aspect, even though we were super close. But it's just different when you're like similar in age, right? Like the shit that we would talk about that I wouldn't talk about with my brother, right? So I remember when we was kids, me and my cousin, we was just locked in, always doing fuckery together. We was out here, we was young and fucking smoking and shit, like doing whatever. Like we would be always doing up to fuckery. But we always lived on different sides of the city. We would link up like when family starts to get together and shit like that, always up to like fuckery and shit. But you know, after like we started growing up and like we started going to secondary school and shit like that, like family stops linking up as often and shit. and we kind of drifted apart a little bit, apart from when the family links up again every now and again. But whenever the family does link up, it's always like this. No matter how much time is in between the link ups, it's just one of those kind of relationships that we was always just real tight, you know. But I remember always on like the family occasions when we used to get together and shit, like he always used to look fly. He always used to like fresh clothes, fresh kicks. Like he just used to be like dripped out and shit. And I always used to remember thinking like, yo, like this guy's always looking fly, you know. Like me, I was rocking like Lonsdale and Slazenger, like, you know, them Sports Direct classics there. Like for real, like my brother's hand-me-downs, like that's the shit that I used to be rocking, you know. So I always used to be thinking like, raw. So after school, when we started linking up a bit more often and shit, like I would ask him, innit, like, yo, like, but how you getting your bread? Like, always seeing you like looking fly. Like, you know, you got the latest phone and shit. Like back then he had like an iPhone 6. That was like the newest phone at the time, and like he told me he paid for it himself and shit. I'm like, yo, like, how you getting all this bread? And he told me straight up, like, he's jogging. Like, he's getting it out of the street. I remember when he told me, I was shocked, you know, like obviously I know what I'm going for the shit that be going on, but I didn't think that's what Cuzzy was on, you know. I was like, raw, swear down. But I was like, fair, you know. It was a bit of a mad thing, but I looked up to my cousin, you know, like I said, I always see him looking fly. I thought he was cool, you know. Like I sadly looked up to him, and I kind of wanted to be like that, you know. But that wasn't when I got involved. But that was the start of me getting a little bit of a glimpse into the life that would eventually take over me. I was tired of looking bummy. I was tired of, you know, wearing my brother's old clothes and just feeling scatty. Like I wanted to be fly. I wanted to have my own way. I wanted to be somebody. And me lacking any purpose, any direction, any sort of like positive male role model in my life made it very, very easy for me to allow myself to get sucked into that shit, you know. And I want to say, like, key word there is allow, because I want to make it very clear, like, I'm not making this video to blame anybody, you know. I can easily try to sit here and, you know, blame my parents, or, you know, blame my upbringing, blame like the influences that could have made me jump into this shit. But at the end of the day, it comes down to the decisions that I made. Decisions determine trajectory. Like small decisions, no matter how small they are, they could impact our life in crazy ways. And my life right now is a testament to that. You know, it's like if you jump on a plane. Like I was reading that if a plane is leaving from LA and going to New York, if it even shifts 3.5 degrees south, just 3.5 degrees, that shit's gonna end up in Washington, DC, bruv. And you wanna know how far DC is from New York? It's over 200 miles. So just the plane shifting 3.5 degrees, that's like this. That's like that. In the long term, the plane's gone a whole different destination. It's the same shit with man's life, you know? Little small decisions that we don't even be deep into tough. In the long term, that shit is fucking us. You get me? So that's why I want to make it clear that I'm not blaming anybody. Like, I'm just breaking it down exactly what happened in my life and the decision that I made. And this is the beginning of one of the first decisions that would change my life forever. So eventually, I made that decision. I ended up asking my cousin, like, yo, big man, put me on, man. Like, put me on to a way I can make this bread, because I'm sick of this shit. You know, I'm sick of this shit. I need to get some. And like I said, like we grew up humble. I was never the type of person that would be asking my parents for a lot of shit, because I knew that we didn't have it like that to where we could just be doing a whole lot of shit, you know, like that. And of course, I could have just got a job or some shit like that. But at the time, that shit was not appealing to me. And I tried to go get a job and stuff like that. Of course, I could have tried harder. But in my young mind, that shit, minimum wage was not looking appealing to me. And at the time, I think it was around like £7 an hour or some dumb shit like that. And in my young man, it was not appealing to me at all. I'm just keeping it real. So I ended up asking him, put me on, how can I make this bread? You know? And at first, started off small, you know, just little shit here and there, just making a little couple drinks. Nothing too risky, nothing too crazy, nothing too out there, you know. But slowly, she started getting a little bit more. You know, little shit start turning into a little big shit. That start turning into some bigger shit. All of a sudden, you're in some hot shit. You feel me? Before long, I was fully involved. Getting it by any means necessary, you know. Fucking robberies, all sorts. My entire identity had shifted to that of a street nigga. That was how I was living my life. That was how I was getting my money. Every single day was a new day getting up to some fuckery. And the more shit that I did, the more shit that I seen, I started to notice the colder I became. The less fucks that I gave, the more reckless I would become. And within time, my family started to notice that shit too. You know, my mum, my family, we started getting a bit more distant. I remember the day that it started getting techie at home was when my mum ended up finding a knife in my bag when I was going to college. And yeah, ever since then, my mum was on me. She was on me. Not much she can explain with that shit. Like, we were just fucked. Every day was just a day, another day, trying to get it. You know, we didn't give a fuck. You know, and couldn't no one tell me nothing as well. Like, it was me against the world type shit. Couldn't no one tell me nothing. I knew everything. You know, I'm just telling you how it was. So shit just carries on like that, you know. And with time, shit starts getting a bit more tough at home. Like, every now and again, mom's kicking me out of the house. Come back late, the door's locked. You know, I'm sleeping rough, gotta find somewhere else to sleep. You know, it starts getting techie. But nigga didn't give a fuck. Make my feel, man, even more to go get it on my own. I ended up leaving college and devoting all my time to chasing that paper. See, it got to the point where we were doing so much shit and not getting caught that we felt like we was on top of the world, bro. I'm telling you, we felt like no one chat to us. You know, it got to the point where if some niggas even looked at us the wrong way or even looked at us for too long, we was on that with niggas. We was just ready to go over some dumb shit. Real life, just young and reckless. And we were just getting more and more reckless with the shit that we did. Cause I'm telling you, genuinely, we did not think that we'd get caught. I don't know why. Like, I don't know why, though. We just thought we were the smartest niggas. Like, we'd be laughing at the Jakes driving the cars and shit. Like, these niggas don't even know what we got on us right now. Like, I'm telling you, like, this is how we think, you know? But until one day, I got too reckless. Too reckless for my own good, you know? Up until that point, everything we did was in the streets. You see, in the streets, there's no paper trail. And most of the shit that's happening is illegal anyway, so niggas ain't gonna be calling the police on you. But you see, the life of a robber is one that's always escalating, right? The next lick's always gotta be bigger than the last one. And you always have this dream, right? You got this dream lick that once you hit this lick, you won't ever have to hit a lick again. That's the dream, like, you're always dreaming of that one lick. But the thing is, money always runs out if there's no consistent flow coming in. So you always have to hit another one and another one. Until one day, you know, I said, fuck this. Let's take this shit commercial. Let's take this shit to the fucking actual places where the real money is, the legit places, the businesses. Let's take it to that. I'm telling you, I'm just taking you into the mind of some dumb, young, reckless niggas that don't give a fuck. Alright? We were like, yeah, fuck it, let's do it. You know? So I went to a place where we used to go and buy like our smoking equipment and shit. You know, like Rizzler, grinder, your blunts, all that kind of shit, right? I remember the guy used to sell it to us. He showed us one time he had some replica guns, right? These times they're just lighters, but it looks exactly like a gun. So we were just some young niggas, right? So we were like, yo, fuck it. I went over there and I said to the boss man, yo, let me get one of them things. All right. I grabbed them, and when I tell you, the next day, I had already planned the place that I wanted to do. I was like, boom, gonna fucking go for the bookies. The bookies, for the people that don't know, that's where you go to place your bets, you know, for your fucking football, your horse racing. Horse racing is very big in the UK. Fucking any bet that you go, that's where you go to place your bets, right? And of course, I'm thinking that's where the cash prizes are. That's where the big money is. That's what's going in my head. You know, I'm thinking, yeah, this is the lick. This is the big box. I won't ever have to lick again after I do this thing. You know? That's how I was thinking. The next day, boom, I already planned it. Out of town when I'm thinking, yeah, I'm smart. Do one that's out of town. Yeah? So it's not local to man. These times I'm jumping on the train. But you know, I took a change of clothes and shit. Go over to out of town, change or whatever, and boom. I'm thinking this is gonna be the lick of a lifetime. Minimum 10, 15, 20,000 on the low end. Right? I go in there, I come out with a few £100. I took a huge risk like that and got a small reward like that. You know, it's crazy. I ended up jumping in a cab and flying back to Leicester. So you think after doing some crazy shit like that and essentially kind of taking an L, right? You think that I would be like, you know what, that was crazy. Didn't go how I wanted it to as well. Let's just leave it there, right? No. In my fucking crazy young mind, I came to the conclusion that, you know, I just need to do more. That's generally how I thought. So I carried on. Ended up doing another one. Hitting a 24-hour joint. Hitting a cash and carry. Just going crazy. I'm thinking, yeah, just volume. Just need to do volume. And I wasn't getting caught. And I was doing this solo dolo as well. And when I think back on this shit, it boggles my mind now. Thinking back on it, like, it's crazy. You know? It's mental. Until I ended up doing one robbery that would become my last. And when I tell you that, this was just written because I wasn't even planning on doing this robbery. I just did it on a whim. Imagine I come out one night, I just come out for a smoke. Yeah? So you know what, I'm coming out for a smoke, for a zoot, yeah, but I need a drink. So I go to my local shop. It's like a mini supermarket type vibe. I just go to get a drink, you know, of course I can't be coughing up when I'm smoking a zoo, right? I need a drink. I go to the shop. It's late night, it's like almost 10 o'clock. And then I'm seeing that the street just looks quiet as fuck. No cars driving, nobody walking. Going to the shop and it's so quiet in there as well. Now in my fucked up mind at that point, anybody else is just normal, just going about their business. In my fucked up mind, I'm thinking, yeah, this shit look like a lick. Yeah, this shit look nice and easy. For real, I'm just taking you through how I used to think. cool. I grab my shit and I go, I smoke up, whatever. And that blunt, I must have just been fucking thinking. When I tell you the next day, I was gearing up, ready to go and do it. Boom. Same like all the other ones. I go in, but this one ends up being a little bit different. I run into the shop. I'm pointing what these guys believe is a gun to them and tell them, open the till. But this time, I hear someone shout from one of the aisles. There's another guy there. This guy's the owner. So there's two of them, right? So I put him behind the till as well. So now there's two of them behind the till and me. They empty the money from the till and they give it to me and I put it in my bag. But because I was getting so greedy and I had gotten sick of just getting money from tills, I told myself, I promised that I wasn't gonna leave until I got the money from the safe, because I wanted the real money, right? In my head. But remember, this is not a real gun. But because of the power that I had felt from it, and because everything had been going my way so smoothly, and like I told you before, how we felt on top of the world, I never thought that someone would not listen to my every word. And I was just waving it around on a crazy thing. Ended up getting too close to the guy, and in his mind, he went for it. In one swift motion, he tried to grab the gun. And he pulled it hard like that. The gun's broke. And all I have is just the handle part. At that point, all hell broke loose. I thought about a mission, and I tried to exit while getting these guys away from me. These two said, hell no. And they tried to grab me. So you can imagine what went down after that. We started tussling. Me trying to escape, and these lot trying to make sure I don't leave that motherfucker. And you can imagine, I've just tried to rob them of their fucking livelihood, of what they've worked so hard for. So you can imagine the kind of tenacity they're coming with. And me, I'm understanding the situation I'm in, and I'm trying to leave with as much tenacity as well. So it's just a mad thing. So they're grabbing me. I'm fucking trying to fight them off. Two grown ass niggas. These times I'm still fucking 17 years old, but of course Tim will fucking treat me like I'm grown, cause I came in like I was grown. Hell yeah. So we started fucking tussling and shit. They're fucking grabbing me. As soon as I fucking get one guy off me, the other guy's on me. So it's like, I'm there trying to fight for my life and shit. I end up hitting one of the guys in the head with something I just grabbed. It was a bottle. And thank God that the bottle didn't break or it didn't cause the guy too much damage, cause it could have been a whole different story here, you know? Of course I hurt that guy a little bit, but it wasn't nothing too crazy because he still kept coming forward, you know? We ended up tussling for a little while. Long story short, I ended up grabbing one of those, you know, those stand-up things with like the cards all around them, those standalone things in the shop. I ended up grabbing that and dashing that on the floor in hopes to make the guy, one of the guys, trip up so that I can make my escape, get this guy off me and then skedaddle. Alright. It works. The guy ends up falling on the floor, but he ends up dragging me straight down with him. As soon as I hit the floor, it was over with. Both of them jumped straight on top of me. And at that point, I was finished. We had been struggling for around 5-10 minutes. And then everything I tried to get up on the floor, it weren't working. I was done, you know? At that point, the only thing that in my young mind that I tried to use was to try reason with the guy. I was like to him, I can just remember saying, yo, because my mask had come off by this point, and I told you it was my local shop. This was my local shop. So the guy had recognized me. I heard him say, I remember him saying, yeah, I know him. I was trying to reason with the guy like, yo, just let me go. I won't come back. Dumbass nigga. As if they're gonna let you go when you've just tried to rob them. But it's the only thing that I thought I could try at that point. You know, at that point, some other guys ended up coming into the store as well, and I tried to fucking coalesce them. I was like, yo, get these guys off me. Tried to lie to them and say, yo, these guys are smoking me for no reason, get them off me. Like, I was trying to do anything I could at that point to get out of the store. But it was all for nothing, because within a couple of minutes, the police ended up coming. So you can imagine how long they've been looking for me now, because I've been just doing the mad thing. So they've come with a quickness. They've come to the store, they've grabbed me up. And at this point, I remember thinking, yo, like, it's actually done. Like, I'm actually going to jail. Me, I'm just in the cell thinking, I was never even gonna rob that place. Why did I do it? My mom ends up talking to me, and she must have had a conversation with the police. And this is where the police's tricks start coming into effect. They told my mom that, okay, cool, we've got him banged to rights for this one. You need to tell your son that if he admits to the rest of these, he will only do 2 years, serve 1, and then come home. When I meet up with my barrister, and he starts telling me the sentencing guidelines, so you got possession of a firearm, armed robbery, and actual bodily harm. For these sentencing guidelines, motherfucker, it's 3 years starting, nothing lower. And the judge, when he starts his shit, after he's heard everything, his starting point was 9 years. When I heard that, my fucking heart dropped, bruv. I was like, 9 years?